Hey guys, this is going to be a video lesson for how to play Young Men Dead by the Black Angels. We've gotten a ton of requests to do some kind of lesson, so here it is. Never did a lesson before, so bear with me. It's going to be very off the cuff. I'm not a music expert, so I'll try to explain it as best as I understand it. So, I'm not really the type of person to play a song perfectly note by note. If that's what you're looking for, this video might help, but it'll probably help you a lot more if you want to understand fully, how to play the song and like how it's done. So, this song is in standard tuning. If you don't know what that is, it's really, really important that you go learn it. So, do some Google searches and memorize that. That's really important for you to learn as a beginner, if you are a beginner. So the song is in the key of D, D minor. We're going to be using the D minor pentatonic scale. If you don't know what that is, again, Google is your friend. There's plenty of free lessons out there that cover it. I just want to cover the song. I don't want to do like a whole like beginner guitar lesson as well. So we're going to be using these notes mainly: C, third fret of the A string, D, which is our home bass, it's our root note of the song. If every song has like a particular sound, it's always that key, that root note. So Young Men Dead sounds like this. As that. So C, D, then we go to F, G, A, back to C, and D. So pretty much only using those notes, almost. Moving on, we got our main riff, open A, and then we're doing this cool kind of roll with our first three fingers, starting with C, going up to C sharp, and then to D. A, C, C sharp, D. So that's really easy. Just figure out how to do that. It really helps to use an alternating picking pattern. And just try to get all your three fingers to land where there should be. So your first finger is always going to be on the C note, third fret of the A string. I recommend just trying to get that rhythm down. So once you have that, you hit D note 3 times. By the way, that's 5th fret on the A string. 1, 2, 3. Then we go up to F. Do kind of a slight bend. And then resolve back to D. So here's what we got now. After that, we have like this little like DCD moment that happens like a ton throughout the song. And a ton of Black Angel songs in general have this. Kind of, you have the root note, then you go back a whole step, and then go back to D. So, you're gonna do one of those. So now we have. So you just learned the entire riff, because that's all it is. All those parts repeat throughout the song. So all we have to do now is learn the rest of the intro. Instead of doing that pause, we kind of just start it off again, and then it just kind of loops over and over again. So once you have those parts memorized, it's really easy. So now we have the whole intro. boom, and then we have the distortion come on. Yeah, distortion kicks in, then it's awesome. Anyways, that's the intro. When the distortion kicks in, I like to play with a little bit more variation on the picking. If you listen to the song, the guitarist is definitely putting a little bit more aggression on the D and F notes, especially. You'll see what I mean. So now we have our fuzz on. So we're gonna start doing the riff again, but this time much louder. So it really helps, again, do alternating picking, make it sound smoother. There's, if I could just slow it down, you can notice a slight difference with the picking here. It's almost like he fits in an extra D note before he jumps up to F. Like one more note than usual. So I'm going to try to show it off one more time. So distortion kicks in, and 3, 2, 1. So I hope that was slow enough to show off like what I'm doing there. So you're just playing that a lot faster. And it's the same riff as before. So right before the first verse, pretty much right after like every section ends, like every bar, you're gonna have this little, it's not even a lick, it's more like a, kind of like a drum fill, but for guitar. It's kind of like, so at the end of the riff, he does something like this. All it is, instead of resolving back to D as usual, you go up to F, and then you go up to G, one whole step. So it's... And when you go up to G, you're doing some like really sick bends, right? Because you want to make it sound really cool. Yeah, all it is instead of going back to D, you're just kind of doing some cool bends on G, and then resolve back to D when you're done. So one example sounds like this. Another one could sound like this. Even another one could sound like this. I don't know, that one kind of sounded kind of shitty, but you could play around with it. You can even improvise. You could, you don't have to play it exactly the way, they play it. I'm just showing you like what the patterns are. So once you have that down, you have the lead singer comes in, starts singing, and something I was really annoyed with, a lot of other covers, they play the exact same riff, the main riff, like the whole thing, like during the singing parts. And if you listen to the song, that's not what happens. Like while he's singing, you just hear this in the song. You're just holding the rhythm down. When his line ends, like at the end of each line, you hear like a little variation going from C to D, sometimes even F. So if you just play around with those notes, it'll sound awesome. Like no matter what, you could like make up anything, and it'll sound good. So here's an example. So let's start from that ending lick until like you start singing. So. And then we were just going back to the main riff after that. So there's a certain line, I forgot what it is. After like the main verse, and you go into like the next section of the song, then you return back to the riff. So you do the whole. And then there's a part after that. So we already covered the main riff, but then we have this descent back to G actually. So we're gonna do another roll, and instead of C, C sharp, D, we're gonna go F, F sharp, G. So this is what it sounds like. So that's what I hear. I hear G there, but you're doing the same roll as before. So one more time, you finish the riff on D. Instead of going back, you do that. So open E, F, F sharp, G. Then you go back to D and you're done. So that covers 90% of the song. The only thing I haven't really discussed is the break at the end. So when the music dies out completely, we go back to clean signal, and then we have very, very low, lots of reverb. It's like a broken down, slower version of what we were doing before. And then we start picking it up. So what's going on there is you're just playing, like, you're doing that little roll from C to D, and then you're trying to pick with just very gently. Pick very gently, almost like so you can't hear it, and then with practice you can start making it louder, very, very slowly. And then once it reaches a crescendo, of course, you put your fuzz back on, and then you're golden. So right after that happens, right after we come back and the song kicks back into action, we start the solo, which is what a lot of people want me to tab out all the time, and this is the way I play it. So here we go. And then you just play D for the rest of the song. And that's how it ends. So that was kind of a lot. I hope I played it slow enough. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go over it one step at a time. So once we're done with the main riff and we're back from the little break in the middle of the song, we go up to F, and then we go to G. And we do that little lick on F and G that we were doing before. Instead of resolving back to the lower D, though, we start ascending. We start ascending up through the whole scale, and we include one more note. We include the B note, and I'll show you where it is. So, starting off, going up to A, to B, to C. Then we do a little back and forth action between C and B. The half steps make it sound a lot more tense. So we have B and C together, and then we slide up to D. So here's what we got so far. So if your ears may have noticed that this section is the same as this. They're the same notes. We're going F back down to D, except this time we've moved D up to the 12th fret on the D string. And so we do a lot of bends here on F and just make it sound really, as sexy as we can. Then we do some C and B action over here. So half frets, 1/2 fret difference. Once that riff is over, we slide all the way back to D on the 5th fret of the A string. So once we're done with that riff, then we quickly move on to part 2 of the solo, which starts off like this. Again, F and G. This song is very, there's a lot of patterns. So once you notice the pattern, you know exactly where the song is going to go. So F and G again, except less bending this time. At least that's what I heard from the song. So you're going F to G, then slide up to D, which is on the 12th fret of the same string. Doing the same bends as before. Then in this part, we're gonna hit a harmonic note on the G string at the 12th fret. I'm not a huge expert on what these kind of notes are or how they work. I just know that in certain parts of the fretboard, like the 5th string, the 5th fret, and the 7th fret, and the 12th fret, they have these spots on the neckboard where, not on the neckboard, on the neck, where if you just lightly place your finger on the string right on top of the fret, not where you put your finger if you were to press it down, but right on top of the fret itself. See that? If you place your finger just on top of the fret, barely touching it, and you hit the string, you get like a different sound. So this is G when you press it down, and this is G when you don't, when you use a harmonic. So it sounds a little stranger. So we're basically going to hit that note. So we're going to hit the G, open G harmonic on the 12th fret. So we're going to hit D on the 12th fret, and then alternate between that and the harmonic on G. So I'm just lightly touching. For the song, I use my ring fingers usually over here. So I kind of arc it so that I'm touching the G string, just barely touching it, so that when I hit the G, I get that nice harmonic. So here's that part again. You're only gonna hit it twice, so it's not a huge part of the song, but you know, it's still there. So one more time. It's more like this. You're gonna hit D a whole bunch of times, then we're gonna do another C and B pattern. But it sounds a little different. We're only gonna go back once. We'll do that very slowly. And then we're just hitting D for the rest of the song. And that's it. You learned the whole song. I hope the video helps. Hope I did it slow enough, or it was, you know, easy to understand. And yeah, thanks for watching.